Women are stepping forward, not because they want to, but because men won't. Fear, hesitation, and passivity have created a void. Women crave pursuit, yet men hide behind excuses. Masculine energy must lead. Otherwise, women are forced into roles that kill attraction and respect. Approach, lead, be decisive. When men stop taking initiative, something deep within the dynamic between men and women begins to collapse. Women naturally expect men to lead, to take the first step, to create direction. This is not about control, but about polarity. Masculine energy is designed to move forward, to pursue, to initiate. Feminine energy flourishes when it is being guided, when it feels safe to surrender. But what happens when men hesitate, when they hold back, when they overthink and refuse to act? A void forms. That void is the absence of masculine initiative, and women are left with no choice but to step into roles they never wanted. This void is not just about who asks who out. It shows up in every area: relationships, conversations, intimacy, even planning a simple date. Women find themselves frustrated because they are put in positions where they must take charge, initiate, and provide direction. Deep down, they don't want to. They may do it, but they resent it. They resent having to carry masculine energy in a space where they long to feel feminine. And this resentment builds silently, even when they can't put it into words. The tragedy is that most men don't even realize what they are doing. They believe that by holding back, by being passive, by waiting for signs or certainty, they are being respectful or cautious. In reality, they are abandoning the role women expect of them. Women don't want perfection. They don't want a flawless plan. They want effort, courage, and direction. A man who moves, who takes initiative, who says, "This is where we're going," creates instant polarity. It doesn't mean she won't have opinions or input, but she feels the energy of someone leading with confidence. When this void continues, women adapt. They start initiating themselves. They start approaching men, sliding into DMs, planning the dates, making the decisions. At first, it may feel empowering, but over time, it eats away at their desire. They begin to feel like they are mothering instead of being courted, like they are managing instead of being pursued. That kills attraction, no matter how much love or interest is present. The deeper issue is not that women are becoming too strong, it's that men are becoming too passive. A man who refuses to step into his masculine power leaves a woman no option but to step out of her feminine. And once that balance is lost, resentment and disconnection follow. This void of masculine initiative is the silent killer of modern relationships. It's not loud or dramatic, it shows up in the little things. A man who won't approach, won't call, won't decide, won't risk rejection. The absence of masculine action forces women into survival mode, and instead of love flowing naturally, both genders end up exhausted. Women don't want this shift. They want men to rise again, to close the void, and to step into the role they were created to play. When men step back, women step forward. It's not because they truly want to, but because nature abhors a vacuum. When men hesitate, when they stay passive, when they overthink instead of acting, women are left with no choice but to fill the gap. This rise of female assertion is not a natural expression of feminine energy. It is a reaction to the absence of masculine energy. Women have begun approaching men, initiating conversations, sliding into messages, asking for dates, and even proposing relationships. What used to be the role of the masculine has now been adopted by women, not because they desire it, but because they refuse to remain stagnant in a void created by male hesitation. At first glance, this shift may look like empowerment. People might say women are becoming more confident, more independent, more bold. And yes, on the surface, it can be mistaken for strength. But underneath, something very different is happening. This assertion often comes from frustration, from disappointment, from the deep desire to experience pursuit, but being forced to chase instead. Women are not wired to carry that responsibility in attraction. They want to feel chosen, to be desired, to be pursued. But when men no longer take that role, they adapt by doing it themselves. The irony is that this very adaptation slowly kills the attraction they seek to build. The moment a woman has to assert herself too much, she begins to lose respect for the man she is chasing. Even if he accepts her effort, even if he welcomes her pursuit, something inside her starts to resent the fact that she had to take on masculine energy to make it happen. Over time, this creates tension within her own identity. She feels powerful in action, but unfulfilled in emotion. She feels bold on the outside, but drained on the inside. For men, this can feel flattering at first. They may enjoy the attention, the ease, the fact that women are doing the heavy lifting. But what they don't see is the silent cost. Every time a woman asserts herself because he failed to step forward, he loses a piece of her respect, a piece of her attraction, and eventually a piece of her loyalty. She may stay, but she will never look at him the way she would have looked at a man who had the courage to lead from the start. This rise of female assertion is not the natural order, it is a survival mechanism. Women are stepping into masculine energy to compensate for men who won't, and though they can succeed in it, they don't truly want it in love. They want balance. They want to feel free to be feminine, soft, open, and receptive. But to do that, they need men to reclaim the initiative, to stop hiding behind fear, and to embrace the role of pursuer. Without that, women will continue to assert, not out of joy, but out of necessity. And that necessity breeds frustration, not fulfillment. One of the greatest reasons men fail to approach women today is not a lack of desire, but a prison of fear and overthinking. Men replay endless scenarios in their minds, asking themselves, what if she rejects me? What if I embarrass myself? What if I'm not good enough? That cycle of hesitation paralyzes action. Instead of taking one bold step forward, men retreat into silence, convincing themselves it's better to do nothing than to risk failure. But that very silence is the failure. Women don't lose interest because men aren't perfect. They lose interest because men never show up. Fear has become so normalized that men often disguise it as logic. They tell themselves, I'm waiting for the right moment. I'll approach when she gives me a clear sign. I'll move when I'm absolutely sure she likes me. But there is no perfect moment, no guaranteed certainty, and no risk-free approach. By waiting for safety, men destroy attraction. Women aren't drawn to hesitation, they're drawn to decisiveness. Confidence isn't the absence of fear, it's moving despite it. Every time a man overthinks instead of acting, he communicates weakness without saying a word. The tragedy is that women don't expect flawless delivery. They don't expect a man to have perfect words, perfect timing, or a flawless plan. What they crave is courage. A simple hi, spoken with confidence, is more attractive than hours of silent over-analysis. Men forget that women too feel nervous, vulnerable, and uncertain. What they want to see is someone strong enough to break through that tension. When a man freezes in overthinking, he signals to a woman that he cannot handle pressure, that he cannot carry leadership, and that he will likely retreat in other moments of life as well. Fear and overthinking also show up in relationships beyond the first approach. Men hesitate to express feelings, to set boundaries, to make decisions. They worry endlessly about saying the wrong thing or upsetting her, and in that hesitation, they kill polarity. A woman cannot relax into her feminine energy when a man refuses to take the lead out of fear of mistakes. In fact, the very mistakes men are afraid of are what make them real and relatable. Women respect a man who risks and learns more than one who hides behind silence. At its core, this fear comes from a lack of self-trust. Men who overthink don't believe in their own value. They assume rejection means they're not good enough, when in reality, rejection is simply a filter. Not every woman will say yes, and that's not a reflection of a man's worth. It's part of the natural process. The more a man embraces this truth, the less power fear holds over him. Overthinking keeps men stuck in their heads while women wait for them to act. But attraction doesn't grow in thought, it grows in action. A man who breaks free from fear, who takes imperfect steps forward, instantly separates himself from the passive crowd. Women remember the man who dared, not the one who hesitated. Attraction is not built on sameness, it is built on polarity. Masculine energy and feminine energy are like two magnetic forces, opposites that draw each other in. When a man embodies his masculine energy, he provides direction, clarity, and strength, which allows a woman to relax into her feminine essence. This balance is what creates the spark, the chemistry, the unspoken tension that keeps two people deeply connected. But when men abandon their masculine role, polarity weakens, and the natural dance between man and woman begins to collapse. Masculine energy is not about domination or control. It is about presence, decisiveness, and purpose. A man who knows what he wants and moves toward it with confidence creates an energetic pull. Women respond to that pull instinctively because it awakens their feminine energy, an energy that longs to be free, expressive, and surrendered. Feminine energy does not want to carry the burden of leading, of deciding, of controlling outcomes. It wants to flow, but it can only flow when the masculine provides the container. Without that container, feminine energy hardens, adapts, and shifts into survival mode. The problem today is that many men suppress their masculine traits out of fear of rejection or fear of being perceived as too aggressive. They choose passivity, believing it will keep them safe or respectful. But that passivity forces women to step into the masculine role instead. When she is leading, chasing, and directing, she is no longer in her natural feminine state. And although she may be capable of holding that position, it drains her and creates hidden resentment. She doesn't want to be the pursuer, she wants to be pursued. Polarity thrives when both energies are expressed fully. The masculine is the force that moves forward. The feminine is the energy that receives and responds. Without that movement, there is stagnation. When a man embodies masculine energy, whether by approaching with confidence, setting direction in a relationship, or holding steady under pressure, he reignites a woman's feminine side. She feels safe to soften, to let go of control, to embrace vulnerability. That softening is what deepens connection, intimacy, and attraction. It's not about a man doing everything or making every decision. It's about the energy he brings. A man in his masculine does not need to shout or demand authority. His presence speaks for itself. His calmness under stress, his decisiveness in uncertainty, and his willingness to lead, even imperfectly, create the space for a woman to shine in her femininity. That dynamic is what builds the magnetic pull that keeps two people drawn to each other. When men fail to embody this energy, polarity disappears. Instead of magnetism, there is neutrality. Instead of passion, there is dullness. Women may respect a man as a friend or companion, but they will not feel the deep attraction that comes from polarity. This is why masculine energy is not optional in relationships. It is the spark, the driver, the invisible force that keeps love alive. A man who learns to embrace and lead with his masculine essence will always stand out because he gives a woman the gift of fully being in hers. At the core of a woman's desire is not the act of chasing, but the experience of being chosen. Women don't crave the role of the hunter. They want to feel pursued, desired, and valued by a man who has the courage to claim them. When men hesitate, waiting for women to make the first move, they misunderstand one of the deepest truths about attraction. Women are not fulfilled by chasing men. Even if they can initiate, even if they are bold enough to pursue, it never satisfies them the way being chosen does. Being chosen is about recognition. It tells a woman, I see you, I want you, and I'm willing to take the risk to make that known. This risk, this act of pursuit, is what makes her feel special and feminine. When men refuse to take initiative, women may step into that role, but it leaves them feeling empty. They may get the attention of the man, but in the back of their mind, they question, if I didn't chase him, would he have wanted me at all? That doubt erodes her attraction and eventually her respect. A woman who has to chase will eventually resent the very man she pursued. It shifts the balance of energy. She begins to feel like the leader, like the one carrying the masculine role. And even if she loves him, she can't look up to him in the way she desires. Respect is foundational to attraction, and without respect, desire fades. A man who doesn't choose, who waits passively for her to step forward, is not seen as courageous. He is seen as hesitant, unsure, and weak. What many men fail to realize is that women give signals all the time. They make eye contact, they linger, they drop hints. These are not invitations for the woman to chase. It's an opening for the man to step in and claim his role. Women want to be pursued not because they can't initiate, but because pursuit speaks directly to their feminine core. It reassures them that they are valued enough for a man to risk rejection. That effort creates emotional safety. It tells her, I am willing to step into discomfort because you are worth it. When a man chooses a woman, he does more than approach her. He validates her femininity. He allows her to step fully into the receptive role without guilt, without hesitation. She doesn't have to harden herself. She doesn't have to carry the chase. Instead, she can relax, open up, and be fully present in her feminine energy. That is where her radiance shines the most. Women don't want to chase because chasing feels like striving, proving, and convincing. None of those things align with her deepest desires. What she wants is to be seen, claimed, and pursued by a man confident enough to lead. That's what ignites attraction. That's what sustains respect. And that's what allows a woman to feel truly desired. When men embrace pursuit instead of avoiding it, they give women the gift of what they crave most, the feeling of being chosen. In today's world, equality has become a powerful and necessary movement. But somewhere along the way, the concept of equality has been misinterpreted in the context of attraction and relationships. Many men now believe that because men and women are equal in capability, they should also behave the same in dynamics of love, courtship, and polarity. This misunderstanding has left countless men passive, hesitant, and unwilling to lead, hiding behind the shield of equality as if it excuses them from stepping into their masculine role. Yes, men and women are equal in value, but equality does not mean sameness. Masculine and feminine energies are different by nature, and that difference is what creates attraction. When men confuse equality with sameness, they think, if she wants equality, then I should wait for her to approach me. If she wants fairness, then she should chase just as much as I chase. This mindset might look logical on the surface, but it ignores the deeper truth of human nature. Women don't want to mirror men in the dance of attraction. They want polarity. They want balance that comes from differences, not duplication. The misinterpretation of equality has robbed men of their initiative. Instead of embracing pursuit, they convince themselves that approaching a woman might be outdated or even offensive. They think they are being respectful by holding back, when in reality, they are denying women the very experience that fuels feminine desire, the feeling of being chosen. Women can absolutely take the lead in their careers, finances, and personal lives, but in love, most don't want to carry masculine energy. They don't want to be the ones chasing, leading, or constantly making the first move. Equality has never meant they desire that role. It only means they deserve respect, freedom, and opportunity alongside men. When a man uses equality as a justification for passivity, he misunderstands what women are asking for. Women don't want men to stop leading. They want men to lead with respect. They don't want dominance or control. They want partnership. A strong man can hold space for a woman's independence while still stepping into his role as initiator and protector. This balance creates harmony instead of conflict. True equality in relationships doesn't erase polarity. It enhances it because both sides feel secure in their value while still embracing their natural energies. The modern misinterpretation of equality has created an entire generation of passive men and frustrated women. Women are not angry at equality. They are angry that men have abandoned pursuit under the excuse of equality. They don't want to fight men for the masculine role. They want men to embrace it confidently while respecting them as equals in worth. When men step back too far, polarity collapses, and with it, attraction dies. The truth is, equality and polarity can coexist. Men and women can be equal in value while still celebrating their differences in energy. When men stop hiding behind equality and instead pursue with courage and respect, they restore the natural balance that women secretly crave but rarely voice. Equality was never meant to kill pursuit. It was meant to elevate partnership. There is a subtle but powerful shift happening in female behavior, and it's not because women suddenly prefer to chase or initiate. It's because men have stopped stepping forward. The absence of masculine initiative has pushed women into adapting, and this adaptation is rewriting the dynamics of modern relationships. Women who once waited to be pursued are now sliding into direct messages, asking men out, planning the dates, and even proposing marriage. On the surface, this may look like confidence, independence, or progress, but underneath, it is often a response to disappointment and necessity. When men hesitate, women feel the weight of inaction. Instead of being left in uncertainty, many women have decided to create the clarity themselves. They are tired of waiting for men to take risks, to show interest, to lead with decisiveness, so they fill the gap. At first, this seems empowering. It makes them feel bold, proactive, and in control. They tell themselves, "Why should I wait? If I want him, I'll go after him." Yet over time, the very act of stepping into this masculine role begins to drain them. What once felt exciting soon feels exhausting. This shift is silent because most women don't talk about the conflict it creates within them. They may enjoy the thrill of pursuit for a moment, but deep down, many struggle with the loss of polarity. Feminine energy thrives in being desired, in being chosen, in being pursued. When she has to carry the chase, something feels off. She might still get the man's attention, but she doesn't feel truly valued because she wonders whether he would have ever pursued her without her effort. That question lingers, slowly eroding the attraction. For men, this shift can feel like a gift. They no longer have to risk rejection or step out of their comfort zone. Women are making it easier, removing the pressure and carrying the burden of initiation. But what most men don't realize is that every time a woman has to chase, it lowers her respect for him. She may still like him, she may still want to be with him, but she cannot admire him in the way she would admire a man who pursued her with courage. That admiration is essential for attraction to last. The silent shift is not women becoming stronger, it's men becoming weaker. Women are stepping into roles they were not meant to carry in relationships, not because they want to, but because they feel they have no other choice. This adaptation is costing both sides. Women feel unfulfilled, men lose respect, and the spark between them fades. The balance that once fueled attraction is replaced by confusion, where both partners are stuck in reversed roles that neither truly desires. What women secretly want is not to keep chasing, it's for men to reclaim their place. They long to step back into their feminine energy, to feel safe, desired, and chosen. But until men step into their masculine courage, the silent shift will continue, and both sides will keep paying the price for a dynamic that was never meant to be reversed. Passivity in men is one of the greatest threats to attraction, respect, and long-term connection. A man who refuses to act, who avoids taking the lead, who constantly waits instead of moving forward, slowly kills the very energy that creates desire in a woman. Passivity might feel safe to the man. He tells himself that he is avoiding mistakes, avoiding rejection, or simply letting things unfold naturally. But to a woman, passivity communicates weakness. It signals a lack of direction, a lack of courage, and ultimately a lack of value. A passive man does not realize the silent message he sends. By hesitating, by waiting endlessly for the perfect moment, he shows a woman that he cannot handle risk. Attraction thrives on decisiveness. Women respect men who can step into uncertainty, who are willing to put themselves on the line. When a man refuses to do that, he forces women to step into the masculine role instead. She must then take initiative, make decisions, and carry the energy that he has abandoned. While she may be capable of doing this, it drains her and creates an imbalance that kills polarity. The danger of passivity goes beyond the first approach. It shows up in relationships when a man refuses to set boundaries, when he avoids hard conversations, or when he leaves every decision up to her. At first, a woman may appreciate the freedom, but over time it erodes her respect. She cannot fully trust or admire a man who doesn't stand firm, who doesn't lead, or who collapses under pressure. That lack of leadership breeds frustration, and frustration eventually turns into resentment. What makes passivity so dangerous is that it often hides under the mask of being easygoing or respectful. A man might say, "I just want to keep her happy. I don't want to pressure her. I'll let her decide." While that may sound considerate, what a woman hears is, "I have no direction. I have no strength. I'm afraid to step up." Women don't want a man to control them, but they do want a man to lead. Leadership does not mean domination. It means providing clarity, taking responsibility, and making decisions with confidence. The more passive a man becomes, the more a woman is forced to harden herself. She stops trusting his ability to guide, and she takes matters into her own hands. The relationship loses its natural balance because she is stuck in masculine energy, while he sinks deeper into indecision. This reversal drains both of them. The man feels powerless and unneeded, while the woman feels exhausted and unfulfilled. The truth is, passivity never protects a man. It only weakens him. By avoiding rejection, he guarantees failure. By avoiding decisions, he guarantees frustration. And by avoiding pursuit, he guarantees the loss of attraction. Women want men who step forward, not men who hide in the shadows of hesitation. Passivity may feel safe, but it is the very thing that robs men of the respect, love, and desire they long for. The truth is simple. Women are not stepping forward because they want to replace men. They are stepping forward because men have stepped back. Fear, hesitation, and passivity have created a void where masculine energy should stand strong. This has forced women into roles they never truly desired, leaving them frustrated, drained, and resentful. Polarity, attraction, and respect cannot survive in that imbalance. A woman wants to feel chosen, not forced to chase. She wants to soften into her feminine, but she can only do that when a man embraces his masculine with courage, initiative, and presence. Equality never meant sameness, it meant respect. And respect thrives when men reclaim leadership, not abandon it. The danger of passive men is not only the loss of attraction, but the loss of balance in relationships altogether. If men continue to hesitate, women will continue to harden, and love will continue to weaken. But the solution is not complicated. It requires men to rise again, to approach, to pursue, to decide, to lead. Because in the end, a woman does not want a man who waits for her to act. She wants a man who chooses her, claims her, and gives her the freedom to be fully feminine in his presence. That is the essence of true connection, and it can only be restored when men step boldly into the role they were meant to play,